Hello and welcome to episode 62 of the ABC podcast. My name is Alex and I am not joined by Brandon. He is partying it up in San Marcos without me. So I am pleased to have Catherine with me once more. Hello, Catherine.
What's up, fam?
So you were on, I don't know what episode it was. It was back in November because I remember that was the night we went to go see Doctor Strange. So
why was I here?
To vote.
Okay.
So, for those who don't remember, could you give us a brief intro about yourself?
Sure, no problem. My name is Catherine. I'm Alex's younger sister. I'm 21, almost 22. I just graduated from university, and I'm going back for my master's in the fall, so it's a good time.
Right on, right on. So, this is the part of the show where we talk about what's been going on in our lives. Say a lot for both of us.
That's very true.
It's July now,
Mm-hmm.
which means two things. One, I'm getting married very, very soon, which is weird. That means it's also the month of my birthday. And I'm not one of those, my birthday month kind of people, because that's dumb. But it's still cool. I like birthdays, especially my birthday. But I feel like the wedding is kind of overshadowing that a little bit. So.
Yeah, well, you kind of set that up for yourself, so.
It is what it is. But, I guess the other thing it means is that it just keeps getting hotter outside. And I'm moving. And moving involves sweating. And I've been sweating a lot. So that's lovely. Not to mention the fact that bringing all my stuff back to my parents' house while Catherine is here, while carpet is getting replaced, while we're bracing for company coming over because of said wedding. Kind of a mess. But whatever.
Yep, it's been a very busy time in the Correjo house. For those of you who don't know, my birthday is the day after Alex's, so it's also coming up.
Well, yeah, but it's not in July.
It's August 1st, so July is kind of my birthday month because nobody cares about your birthday after it's over. So
that is factual.
July is birthday month for me. Plus, our whole family, all 5 of us, are in the same week. So I don't get to celebrate my birthday the way, because I am the type of person who's like, birthday month, it's all about me. But it's never just all about me. So I'm hyped for birthday month. Even if it's also wedding month. So.
Yeah.
Then also, I got to go to Italy for college graduation present. Alex went to Spain when he graduated, so
I did.
That was super cool. Went with my dad. And then I went to Seattle for the first time, which was also super cool. Did not see the Nintendo headquarters. But I was with my little brother and my mom, and that wasn't really on either of their to-do list, so. And then I went to Florida to see some family, and that was a great time because they have beaches here. And if anyone else knows how hot it is in places not next to the beach, it's a lot worse than being hot in places that are next to the beach, so kind of wish I was back in Florida right now.
I mean, we have beaches.
We do not have beaches in Houston.
Not in Houston.
Exactly. Where am I right now?
You're in Houston, but it's a short drive to the beach.
A short drive?
I mean, shorter than if you lived in Wisconsin.
No, that's not true. Wisconsin is all up on lakes. It's the land of 10,000 lakes, in fact.
Okay, alright.
And there's beaches all over that.
Okay, First of all, I'm not sure I would call the area next to the shore of a lake a beach. But even if you wanted to, fine. Then Wisconsin was a bad example.
It was.
My point is, you could be farther away from a beach in Houston than... No, you could be farther other places from a beach than you would be in Houston.
I'm still gonna complain about it.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, well, we got that out of the way. So that brings us to the ABCs of Geekdom segment. And it would be my turn to pick, but I decided to cede to Catherine, which I could be wrong, but I believe that's the first time this cycle that neither Brandon or I have picked the letter. So you get that honor.
Okay. I am going to talk about the character from Orange is the New Black.
Okay.
Which Alex doesn't watch, even though he totally should, because it's super good. But if anyone watches season 5, which is out right now, I'm catching up right now, and has a lot to do with this one character named Tasty, who has, like, I think by far the most interesting backstory. And in season 3, her, like, foster mom, and, like, the person who's kind of behind why she's in prison, comes to the prison, and it's really interesting, and I was just thinking about how, like, the show has evolved, so it's really good. But yeah, probably should have picked something that Alex watches.
That's fine. Yeah, 2 weeks, or I don't remember when, for the letter S, Brenda did Smaug from Lord of the Rings, and I was like, I mean, I read that book when I was in 5th grade, but that was a very long time ago, so I don't remember most of the details.
Yeah, because you're a high fantasy guy.
Yeah.
But I don't like Lord of the Rings. I love high fantasy. I don't have any problems with it. For the most part, the genre in general. Like, I don't love Game of Thrones because I think it's a little bit too gory, violent. That's, like, generally not my type of TV. But, sure, I like high fantasy. Lord of the Rings, I don't care about at all. I can't connect to it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either. I've been, listeners to the podcast will know that I've been watching the Lord of the Rings movies recently.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, like, I definitely appreciate them as movies.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the world is nice and everything, but I don't know what it is. There's something about it that I just don't connect with on the level that I do of Star Wars or Game of Thrones or Harry Potter or something like that.
For me, because I also recently watched, like, The Fellowship of the Ring for the first time, and my problem with it was honestly that there were just too many white guys. I couldn't tell the characters apart. I couldn't tell if I was supposed to have remembered meeting this white guy already. It was, quite honestly, very confusing and just not worth my time. So, plus, I don't know. I think the allegory comes across a lot better, probably, in book form than in film form. The films are supposed to be, about the fights and the amazing... the cinematography in that movie is incredible. So definitely enjoyable on that level. Definitely want to go to New Zealand now. But just the story... I don't know. I keep thinking about that one part in Parks and Rec where I think Tom makes a Lord of the Rings joke to Ben, and Ben is like, honestly, I wasn't a fan of Peter Jackson's interpretation, so just go somewhere else with that. But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it.
So anyway, Orange is the New Black.
Mm-hmm.
So I really know almost nothing about it. I know it's about
Okay.
a bunch of women in prison.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of sensuous scenes.
Yes.
I know that one of the main character's name is Alex. Is that right?
The, like, second main character.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's basically it. That's all I really know. So, without spoiling anything too big, not for me, just for everyone else, kind of just tell us what Orange is the New Black is about.
Sure. So, this woman named Piper Kerman, she went to federal prison, and wrote a book called Orange is the New Black when she got out.
Oh, in real life?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she's an executive consultant on the show, so it's based on her life.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not read the book, so I don't know how much it deviates. So now I'll talk about the plot of the show. but she dated a drug smuggler in college when she was like studying abroad named Alex, and did like one drop off for her, and then they broke up, went their separate ways. Almost 10 years later, Piper has like a small business. She's very upper middle class. She's raised wealthy in New York. She's engaged to a man, and Alex's drug ring gets broken up and somebody turns over Piper. So she gets sentenced to 15 months in federal prison and has to go to prison. And then at the end of the first episode, Alex shows up in the prison too. So a lot of it is...
Wait, so Alex is American?
Alex is American.
But she lived somewhere else.
They lived abroad for a little while.
But then they both moved back and they were arrested or charged in the United States? Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, it's very interesting. It's a lot more about the state of womanhood in America than, you know, the sexual parts. But it's also very upfront and honest about female sexuality. So it's a very fascinating show. It's extremely well written. The characters are really interesting. My favorite types of shows are the ones like stories that you never see on TV, like Orange is the New Black or Grace and Frankie, which is about like two women in their 70s. So I'm very interested in characters that aren't like any other characters in other shows. That's part of the reason that I like Orange is the New Black so much.
Mm-hmm. So how does V fit into all of this?
So the prison is in upstate New York, not really upstate New York. It's supposed to be about an hour outside of the city. There's a lot of wealth disparity there. So some of the women come from upper class families or homes like Piper, and some of them come from very poor homes like Tasty, who is V took her in as a foster daughter and then had her running drugs for her too. Mm-hmm. So Tasty got busted for something lower when she was younger and had been in the prison for a long time already. And then V comes in and you learn a lot about Tasty's backstory from that, which you didn't really get before, even though she was one of the main characters. And spoiler alert.
Go ahead.
Okay. Tasty's best friend in the prison dies at the end of season 4. And then season 5 is set over just 3 days in right after that happens. So a lot of the show so far has focused on Tasty and how she's dealing with it, and it's really, really interesting. Because, you know, there's all of the disparity there even. I don't know if you ever learned about like proximal processes and how early coping mechanisms are taught, and within lower class families, because there's so much additional economic and often relationship strain. People in lower class families don't grow up being able to cope with difficult situations as well as people with more stable family lives, and they're kind of exploring that a little bit in this season, and it's really, really interesting.
So all 5 of the seasons have taken place within this 15 months? Interesting.
Yeah, it is really interesting. And except for the fact that a lot of the show is built on flashbacks.
Okay.
To show you how all of the women ended up in prison and the different things that got them in there. For example, you know, Piper only got 15 months for being part of this international drug smuggling ring. And then the character who died, she got 7 years for like having an ounce of marijuana on her. So there's a lot of investigation of, how the prison system works, specifically how it works for women. There's a transgender character, and they explore a lot of those issues too. So it's kind of a cross section of. Oh, the episode I'm watching right now is also about a Muslim woman, talking about how hard it is to be halal in prison and things like that. So.
Mm-hmm. So, in your opinion, best Netflix original show?
Ooh. I would probably say yeah. I do watch almost all of them. So.
If you had to, what would be your, competitor for number one against?
House of Cards, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Although I did not watch The Get Down. I never got around to it. Because this year was, the busiest year of my life. Which I feel really bad about because it got canceled and I really wanted to support it. I've heard from other people that it's just one of the most amazing television shows I've ever seen. So, I do not watch all of them, just most of them.
Well, I mean, there's a ton. Don't obviously it would be possible. It's difficult to watch every single one of them.
I really do watch almost every single one of them, though.
Really?
Yeah.
BoJack Horseman? I
did for a little while. I think I got through the first season. Obviously, they've exploded in their original content recently, but up until a year and a half ago when they really started going hard on the OC, I watched almost all of Netflix shows.
A Series of Unfortunate Events?
Yeah. I was so hyped for that.
I wasn't hyped. And I'm glad I wasn't, because it wasn't that good.
It wasn't that good. The child actress just... Well, that's the same child actress from Supergirl, and I didn't like her on Supergirl either.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on what other shows there even are.
Yeah, me too, all of them.
Sense8?
Did not also get around to Sense8. Even though one of my best friends, she is very, loud and proud, and she was bugging the crap out of me to watch it, but I have not gone there yet.
Well, I'll be talking about that later and tell you why you shouldn't watch it. But.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, I obviously don't have anything else to say about Orange is the New Black, but if you do, this would be the time to say it.
If anyone else watches it, the Dominicans versus Puerto Rican thing is so real. So real. My neighborhood in the Bronx is it's very multicultural, but there's a decent contingent of both Puerto Rican people and Dominican people, and it is very real. That's one of my favorite things about it. But yeah.
Okay. Well, that was exciting. But now it is time to move on to the corrections segment. So, if you have anything that you need to say about it, feel free to stop me. But I'll just march on unless you interrupt.
Go for it.
Alright, so first correction is we unboxed the Star Wars Smuggler's Bounty A New Hope box on our last show.
Dope.
And, of course, that included the Han Solo and Greedo salt and pepper shakers. And I was talking about the other salt and pepper shaker that I got in a previous box from the Legion of Collectors, which was Batman and Robin. That box was the DC Legacy box, which I totally forgot existed. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Why a Han and Greedo?
Well, it's a good question. It was, only characters from A New Hope. So that does limit your options right there. Luke Skywalker was featured in the pop vinyl that they included in the box, so they wouldn't do him. Because otherwise, you could do like Luke and Ben, or Ben and Darth Vader. I couldn't really think of any other pairs that would really... I guess Han and Chewie.
That seems to be the obvious choice to me.
Yeah, but there's a big Greedo cult out there.
Yeah.
So, I guess they just wanted to give him some love.
He did really get the sour end of the stick in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Probably had a family. Probably had kids. Little baby alien Greedos running around on Planet Greedo.
Possibly. I wish Brandon was here because I bet you he would know the answer. But, I don't know. You'll have to listen to the next episode when I look it up for the corrections.
Cool.
Moving on, we talked about the Unsullied from Game of Thrones as our ABC's subject last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, the slave owner who owns the Unsullied, I mean, he doesn't really do the training, he just sells them. His name is Krasnis Monaklaz. I'm probably pronouncing that right. I tried to look for a video where he says his name, but he also doesn't speak the common tongue, so even if he did, I probably would miss it. Because it would just be in a jumble of High Valyrian, and it would just go over my head.
Cool.
So, just call him Krasnis, which I think it's Krasnis, actually. Which I'm pretty sure Brandon said, but I don't remember. And then the city which the Unsullied defended from the Dothraki horde was called Qohor. Brandon was going back and forth on how it was supposed to be pronounced because he couldn't remember. I didn't even remember the name of the city that he was talking about, but I would call it Qohor. So it's Qohor.
Qohor. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I buy that.
Then moving on, we were talking about the Hulk movie with Eric Bana that came out early 2000s. Oh, you've seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh,
I think we saw it together.
Really?
Once upon a...
Maybe.
Once upon
I've
a
definitely
time.
only seen it once.
Oh.
I don't specifically remember you being there, but that doesn't surprise me either.
I feel like I remember watching it at Frankie's house.
No, I definitely watched it here.
Oh, okay. I've seen it too. So.
Okay.
And
well,
it's
regardless,
trash.
yeah, it really is hot trash. But anyway, so I was wondering if when Lou Ferrigno was in the role of... Actually, I found out today, I actually didn't know this, that there's another actor who did Bruce Banner and Lou Ferrigno played the Hulk. But anyway, I was wondering if he did any movies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering if he had done any movies, and he didn't do any theatrically released movies, but there were 3 TV movies that he did, so.
Cool.
A
little bit of Hulk history there.
Yes. Then, moving on, we did our whole E3 trailer breakdown. We're talking about Sub-Zero coming to Injustice 2 as a DLC character, and one of the moves that they showed off was this roll move that he had, which still kind of confuses me, because in the main Mortal Kombat games, he has an ice slide move, where he kind of just zips over to the other side of the stage and will knock down an enemy if he hits him with it. But he had a move similar to that, but here he had just a move where he just rolls across the stage to hit the enemy. And as far as I could tell, that has never been featured in a Mortal Kombat game. So that's original for Injustice. Yeah.
Dope.
Then we talked about Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I was talking about how the voice actor of Vegeta wants to bring that game to the Switch, and that actor's name is Christopher Sabat.
Has he been in anything else?
Probably.
We're gonna look it up.
Yes, we are.
I would assume he probably does a lot of other voice acting, so for some reason I have a strong desire to scat to fill this voice.
Let's see. He was on Yu Yu Hakusho, and One Piece. He was in six episodes of Attack on Titan. He was in Ruby. He was in Star Wars Go Rogue. I don't know what that is. Let's see. He's been in some video games. He was in the 2015 animated Ghost in the Shell movie. He did 1 episode of One Punch Man. So basically just a ton of anime and some video games.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't see any live action stuff on here.
Well, we appreciate your work, Mr. Sabat.
Indeed.
And hope that we're pronouncing your last name correctly.
Moving on, we talked about the newest trailer for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and the new characters there. And I couldn't remember who they'd showed in the first trailer and who they'd showed in this, who was new for the second trailer. So, Capcom characters who were introduced in the first trailer were Strider Hiryu, Chris Redfield, Mega Man X, and Chun-Li. And then Marvel characters was Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Hawkeye, Iron Man, and Rocket.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, playing as Rocket would probably be really interesting.
Yeah, he was in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and he did have some pretty interesting moves. From what we've seen, most of the characters have pretty similar movesets. So I would imagine Rockets would be the same.
Anything with tape?
Tape? Oh. Not that I know of. Yeah, so the only new character that they showed from the Capcom side, I think, was... No, I'm probably wrong. Definitely Ryu was someone new that they showed, who I had thought they'd showed in the first trailer, but he wasn't there, but now he's there. I mean, that's like the least surprising character announcement they could have made, really. But, yeah. Then we talked about Cuphead, and it was first shown off at E3 2014. So that makes 4 E3s that it's been out before it's finally released.
What is that?
So it's made by an indie studio. It's in the 1930s animation art style, very reminiscent of Steamboat Willie or Felix the Cat. And it's basically just a series of boss battles with kind of short little levels leading up to it. I actually, when I was looking this up in the Wikipedia page, the developers stated that they wanted to break the world record for most boss battles in a video game. The current world record is 25, and they're shooting for 30. From
what game?
I did not look.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be in the cast next week.
Yep.
Are we doing a cast next week?
Yeah, we're actually doing 2, but we'll get to that at the end of the show.
Okay.
Yeah, so Cuphead, it's a dude with literally a cup for a head, and killing some bosses. Cool. Yeah, and it's finally coming out this year.
Town.
Mm-hmm.
Think I can get it for the Wii?
I doubt it.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
Actually, I think it's an Xbox exclusive.
Okay. John Paul just got a 360, so maybe I'll buy it.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Then we talked about the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer. And so went and rewatched the trailer because so last week we watched a ton of E3 trailers and Kingdom Hearts was like towards the tail end. So by the time, we started from what we watched first and then worked our way down. And by the time we got there, I couldn't remember anything about the Kingdom Hearts trailer basically. So what I was wondering is what levels were shown in the trailer, and the only one that I could tell for sure was Olympus from Hercules.
Dope.
Yes. There was one cutscene that they showed towards the end with Sora, Goofy, and Donald talking to Sephiroth and some other Final Fantasy character that I don't know.
Okay.
And that could have been somewhere else, but it was kind of a nondescript location. There was no distinguishing features about it, really, so I didn't know. It could have been Olympus, it could have been somewhere else. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, the only place they really showed was Olympus, which is, all well and good. Also, he was fighting one of the Titans from the movie, and I didn't know the name of said Titan, so his name is Lethos or Lithos, I'm not really sure.
Greek, that's a Y.
Yeah.
It's a I sound, for the most part.
So Lethos?
No, Lithos.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the rock one, the one with the 2 heads. Then the ice one is named Hydros. The magma one is named Pyros. The tornado hurricane dude is Stratos. And then there's Cyclops. Yeah.
See how all those Y's were hard I sounds?
Yes.
So that's interesting to me because I know that the ancient Greek word for rock is Petros. And all of those other Titans have very, quite literal names. The fire guy is Pyros. The wind guy is Stratos. So, I'm interested to find out what Lithos means.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Moving on, we talked about the Battlefront 2 trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And
I saw that. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it does. But actually, this correction, I was talking about the original Battlefront 2, which I played bunches of back in the day, and I incorrectly...
the original Battlefront?
No, Battlefront 2. So there was a game that came out the PS2 Xbox console generation called Battlefront. Mm-hmm. Then there was Battlefront 2, and then Battlefront 3 sometime later. And then a couple years ago, they rebooted it, just called it Battlefront. And now the new game is called Battlefront 2.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, the original Battlefront 2, I incorrectly called them Stormtroopers instead of Clonetroopers. So that's my mistake. Mm-hmm. Although I'm kind of surprised Brandon didn't call me out for it. He's probably looking at a meme, let's be honest. Then we talked about the trailer for Detroit Become Human, and I was talking about how I wasn't sure when that game was first announced, and so the answer is it was originally announced in October of 2015 at Paris Games Week. Yep.
I didn't know Paris did a Games Week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Obviously, like most of the news that like gets filtered into the mainstream comes from U.S. conferences and stuff, but there's really big ones internationally. Gamescom is in Germany. That's a really, really big one. And then what's it called? It's like Game Developers Summit or something like that is in Japan. And there's another one in England that I'm blanking on the name of. But yeah, Paris Games Week is definitely a big one.
Cool.
Then we talked about the new Kirby game that was announced for the Switch. That'll be coming out next year. And I was drawing comparisons to Kirby 64, and I also mentioned Return to Dreamland, but I couldn't remember the release dates of said titles. So Kirby 64 was released in June of 2000, so a couple years later than I had said. I think I said 98. And then Return to Dreamland was released in October of 2011.
We had Nightmare in Dreamland.
That was a good game.
Game Boy Advanced.
Yep.
It's a long time ago.
Yep. Also, something I found interesting was that Return to Dreamland actually released in North America before it did in Japan by a few days. Yeah. And then in this new Kirby Switch game, I was talking about how you can fuse your powers together to do like a combo attack like you could in 64. That was why I brought it up. So the way that it works in this new game is different from original or in Kirby 64. So in this game, what they show is Kirby summons a heart and then throws it at an enemy, and then that enemy then fights for you on your side.
Oh. Okay.
And then somehow, they didn't really, show or anything, but somehow you then use your enemy's power along with whatever power you currently have to use it together. So they showed Flame Sword, Water Bomb, I think Water Hammer. Yeah. So.
I like the hammer.
Hammer's pretty cool.
It's my fave.
No, it's all about the UFO.
Oh, fair enough. But it's so rare that it's kind of
Yeah. No, one of the new powers that they showed off was cleaning Kirby, which is literally just Kirby with wearing a bandana and has a little broom.
I played a bunch of Brawl with my friends towards the end of school, right after finals, and we were using the Wii, and a lot of them didn't know the controls as well as I did, and I play with Kirby, so I got the, the, what is it called? The, the super special power-up ball, the one that floats
Smash
around.
Ball?
Yeah, the Smash Ball. I got that like every single time and just was like cooking. I think that might be one of my favorite Kirby's too. Cooking Mama Kirby.
Yeah, you know they changed his Final Smash in Smash 4. Yeah.
No, I did not. To what?
Yeah, in Kirby Return to Dreamland, there's like super powered enemies, and when you suck them up, like you get a super powered version of their normal attack.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them is Sword, and when you do that, like it's just like a gigantic sword, and that's what he does in Smash 4.
That's too bad. I really like cooking Kirby.
It was okay.
It was awesome, because then when you got to mess up your enemies, and then also you got a bunch of food from it, so you could heal your own damage. Best of both worlds.
Then we talked about some Metroid, and I couldn't remember so they're remaking Metroid 2. So the original game subtitle, it's called Metroid 2: The Return of Samus. This new game is called Metroid: Samus Returns. So, yeah.
All right.
Yes. Then we talked about the Mario Cross Rabbids game. And I said the title incorrectly. I believe that I said Mario and Rabbids Kingdom. It's actually Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Mm.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like the rabbits from Rayman?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They should make a new Rayman game is what they should do.
They should. I mean, Legends came out. Actually, that was a while ago now, so yeah, they should.
That was another childhood favorite of mine.
Same.
When you would let me play.
It's a good one.
Mm-hmm. That one level was like legit scary though.
Oh, the Desert of the Canaran.
Yeah.
I've definitely mentioned that on this podcast before. Final correction for this week was our fanfic fights. Last week was Solomon Grundy versus the Nemesis from Resident Evil. And I said I couldn't remember if he was in any of the movies, Nemesis, I mean. And he was. He was featured in Resident Evil Apocalypse.
Everyone knows that you're going to law school, right?
Yes.
Did you know that Lady Justice, blind Lady Justice carrying the scales, is actually the Greek goddess Nemesis?
I did not.
Mm-hmm. My friend Claire is also going to law school. She told me that.
Why not?
Also, she tried to decorate her graduation cap with, like, things for lawyers, but, so we went to Michael's, and, you know, they have all the stickers section.
Yeah.
You can get it for, like, doctor, soldier. I found a bunch of stuff for, like, Washington, D.C. They do not sell lawyer stuff. No, that's one of the most, like, just most populated professions. I don't know how else to describe that, but there's a lot of people in America who are lawyers.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. It's probably because everybody hates lawyers, so you wouldn't really want to advertise that you are one.
I
Or
don't
want to be one.
Get why everyone hates lawyers.
No,
personally.
I don't either. But maybe I'm just biased.
Well, that's fair. I also may still go to law school at some point, so depending on the trajectory of my career. But yeah, I don't think all lawyers are so bad.
Well, that's all the corrections for this week, but it's way too early to take a break, so we're going to do some news. Probably not all of it, but let's... actually, there's not too much news this week, so let's just see how this goes. Alright, first news item for this week. We got some details about the Dark Phoenix movie that's coming out next year, apparently.
Dope!
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing before I read this news, actually, so that's...
I did. Wow. Tables have turned.
I mean, I'm not surprised. Did you see X-Men Apocalypse?
I have not seen Apocalypse yet. I really did not like the new X-Men trilogy.
Really?
Wasn't, like, from First Class, wasn't a fan. Just, I don't know. I didn't like the approach. I think they should just hand it over to Marvel Studios.
Well, I mean, everybody thinks that, but X-Men's not going to happen. They have some other properties that they might do, but...
Fantastic Four.
Yeah. They also, we talked about this like many, many episodes ago, but the only one that I remember for sure is that they have the rights to Namor, the Submariner. Which is, yeah. But anyway.
I don't think that's ever going to be able to stand alone.
No. So anyway, yeah, Dark Phoenix. So there's Dazzler is going to be in the movie. That's the news here. Dazzler is a mutant who has light-based powers. It kind of varies from incarnation to incarnation. Sometimes it's like just kind of sparkles, kind of like Jubilee from like the 90s X-Men, who was also in the movies. More often, it's like light beam projection that can be used to like, cut things and, hurt people or whatever. Yeah, so Dazzler's pretty cool. She's actually a pretty powerful mutant. I don't know how she's going to factor in the story. So we'll see.
Do you know if they're bringing back Funk Jensen?
I do not. Yeah, that's actually a good question. Because Sophie Turner played Jean Grey in Apocalypse, where they hinted heavily at the Phoenix power. My guess is that she would probably be the one to do that role.
Oh, I didn't mean as the Dark Phoenix. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. And Famke Jensen is still like straight fire. She has not aged since the original X-Men trilogy. She like totally hasn't. Whatever. I just watched her on How to Get Away with Murder like 2 years ago, so.
I can only ever think of her from Taken. Like, that's it.
I don't even remember her being in Taken. She's
the wife, yeah.
Oh, okay. Her ex-wife. Her name is Lenore.
Lenny.
Lenore. But I hope that they bring her in for a cameo or something.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It's they play so fast and loose with the timeline over there that there's really no telling what they're going to do.
Yeah. Actually, can you settle something for me really quick?
Sure.
So yesterday, I was at a pool party with some friends, and we started talking about the DC TV and film units, and I don't really watch any of the DC TV shows.
You gave up on Supergirl?
I did give up on Supergirl because it was a dumpster fire. And I never got into the Arrow, Flash, Legend of Tomorrow. Also, then they started adding them on so quickly that there was no way I could keep up. Also, I work like 50 hours a week. I just want everyone to know that, like, I'm a human. Do other things besides watch TV. Sometimes. Anyway. So, yeah.
You're talking about DC TV versus the DCEU.
Right. So somebody said that they are completely not related. They're not supposed to be related. They're not supposed to, which does make sense because like Supergirl just added Superman, who's obviously not whatever his name is, Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
He's played by Tyler Hoechlin on the TV show. So, I don't know. Can you confirm that?
That is accurate.
That's complete. The DC EU is only supposed to be the films.
Yes.
And the DC TV shows are just...
Yeah, I mean, unless they have one of the two Flashes, because there's also two different character actors playing the Flash.
True.
Unless they have one of them, run into the other multiverse, then yeah, they're separate.
Okay, interesting. All right.
Or, Vibe can do that too. Oh, but you don't watch Flash, so you don't even know what I'm talking about.
I think I do, though.
Okay.
He has a half-brother.
What?
What?
What are you talking about?
Maybe this was just like a crossover gif or something that I didn't get from Tumblr, but I don't know. I think I just watched a gif from the Flash, somebody telling the Flash that he is his half-brother.
If that's from season 3 and you just spoiled something for me, then I don't...
Ooh, Sorry.
No, there's this other character on the show named Cisco who works for Star Labs, where that's Team Flash's headquarters, and he is a metahuman, and he has the power to see the future and open these rifts that can either be used to teleport from like one place to another, in the same dimension, or travel between dimensions.
Okay, gotcha.
Or multiverses, as they call it. Yeah.
Do you believe in the multiverse?
I like to believe in the multiverse, yeah.
Me too.
It brings me comfort to think that, my life is, I've had a lot of, good fortune in my life, but somewhere there's another version of me who's, like dating Taylor Swift or something.
Taylor Swift? Really?
I just pulled a name out of the air. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway. I don't know why that brings me so much comfort, but yeah.
Interesting.
So anyway, back to Dark Phoenix movie. An actor named not Phil Lamar, that's another guy. Lamar Johnson is also confirmed for a mystery role in said movie. According to his IMDb page, his best known roles are The Next Step, Full Out, Apple Mortgage Cake.
What?
And Liar. That's all I got.
I don't think I've ever heard of any of those things.
Me neither.
Okay. That'll be interesting. Is he attractive? Okay, he's quite young. I was picturing somebody a little bit older. Oh, wait. Aren't they doing a new show? Is he in that new show with the white girl? It's called like Cloak and Dagger,
Cloak and Dagger.
Or something?
No,
yeah.
That's somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Right. He was in Degrassi, The Next Generation.
Oh, so he knows Drake.
Sure.
Awesome.
Oh, he was in Covert Affairs.
Oh,
I used to watch that show. Anyway. Then third character announcement for Dark Phoenix is that Evan Peters is confirmed to return as Quicksilver for the movie, which doesn't surprise me at all.
Hope he doesn't die like Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know Aaron Taylor Johnson's story?
Like his real life story?
Yeah.
No. Should I?
It's interesting.
In what way?
So he was the kid in Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was Aaron Taylor
okay.
then. His director in one of his earliest movies when he was 17, her name is Sam Johnson. And she's like 49 now. They got married. They have 2 kids already. And I find that endlessly fascinating.
And he took her last name.
They combined last names. Now they're Aaron and Sam Taylor Johnson, whereas they used to be Aaron Taylor and Sam Johnson.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So now he's like 25. But
really? That's it?
Yeah, he's really young. Maybe 26. But he's already been in a relationship with this woman for almost 10 years, and now they have 2 kids together. And he won a Golden Globe for that movie directed by Tom Ford with Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal. Something about like dangerous predators or something. It's set in West Texas, so some went down. But anyway, because every movie ever set in West Texas has just like careened off the normal track into the crazy track.
That's not true. Did you see Hell or High Water?
No, I did not.
That was a super good movie.
That didn't careen off into the crazy track?
Mm-mm.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, okay. What do you mean by crazy track?
That some crazy went down.
No, it's very grounded in reality.
Reality is crazy. I'm not saying that this movie ever gets into like the paranormal realm. I'm just saying that crazy goes down.
No, I wouldn't say it's crazy.
Okay.
I mean, it's intense. There's a lot of action, but I wouldn't say crazy.
As far as I know, this movie gets absolutely insane. So. Okay.
This movie that we don't know the title of.
Right.
Okay.
I never saw it. Anyway, so he won a Golden Globe for that movie.
Okay.
And he thanked her in the audience, and everyone was kind of like, you guys can't see the face that I just made, but it was a reaction of...
Like Kermit.
Yeah, we'll find an appropriate meme and post it on the Twitter later.
Okay. Moving on, we got a little bit more Fox Marvel news. Julian Dennison is going to be in Deadpool 2. Julian Dennison was I didn't see the movie, but I think he was the main character of an indie movie that came out, I think it was last year, called The Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
John Paul apparently looks just like him.
Yeah.
All of my friends, I think I had work one night, so I couldn't watch it with them, but a bunch of my friends watched that movie, and I came home from work, and they were like, this kid looks just like your little brother.
I mean, I can see the similarities. I don't know if I'd say just like him, not to mention the fact that I think he's British. So...
John Paul could be British.
Okay. Anyway, like I said, I didn't see the movie, so I don't know what his acting ability is like. I mean, from the trailers that I saw, he seemed like a pretty good actor. Then again, I'm not really big into indie movies, so...
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep up, but my best friend Kristen, she's like a budding film critic, and she said it was a really good movie, so...
She also... Did she like The Lobster? Wasn't that like her pick to win like best screenplay last year, or this year's Oscar?
Something like that, yeah.
I hated that movie. Didn't like it.
She just thought it was really, like, interesting and interpretive. And...
I thought the premise was interesting, and then I saw it, and I was like, why did I just watch this? But again, I'm just not a big indie movie person.
Fair enough.
Oh, anyway, so they released a picture of Deadpool having Julian Dennison right on his back, and like he was pointing. It was kind of like that picture of that came out like actually it was a long time ago now, where what's her name? Ray. Daisy Ridley, where Mark Hamill was on her back and he was pointing and she was kind of like looking in that direction. I don't know if they were specifically trying to recreate that, but it kind of reminded me of that.
I feel like probably. With Deadpool.
Yeah. Alrighty, then moving on. An actor named Michael Beach is going to be in the Aquaman movie as a character named Jesse Kane. Yeah, it is appropriate. Now, A, I don't know anything about this Michael Beach guy, and B, I don't know anything about this Jesse Kane character. I don't know if he's like a civilian or a good guy or a bad guy. I don't know, and I'm not going to look it up right now.
It's a merman.
Pop.
You're right.
The only thing I know about Michael Beach, other than the fact that his last name is very apropos, is that he and what's his name? Khal Drogo.
Jason Momoa.
Thank you. They were in a series. Oh, it was Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, yeah.
They were both in that show, which I actually didn't know he was in that.
He was. I just watched a video of Jason Momoa's career throughout the years. He was also in the Baywatch, like the second iteration of the Baywatch television show. So, he's been training for this for a long time.
There was this video, he was on Conan a while back, same night that Betty White was on, and they started flirting with each other, and it was very interesting.
I bet. I mean, when you're that old and that, cute and adorable and famous, like, why not?
Why not?
Everyone says that's the best part about getting old is that you can just say whatever you want and people can't really do anything about it because you're an old lady. They gotta be respectful. So yeah, that's.
But he was into it. Like he was flirting back with her.
Yeah. I ship it. I strongly support that.
You never watched Louie, right?
No.
Oh, there was an episode where he sleeps with Joan Rivers.
No way. They got Joan Rivers on the show?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. I did not know that.
R.I.P. Yeah. I don't even know what, like, honestly, I think the thing that I know her best from was Shrek 2. Yeah.
Oh, she plays, like, she kind of cameos
Yeah, she's in it for,
herself
like, 15 seconds, yeah.
She was actually... This is really interesting to me, because I think this is kind of part of, when, like, a low-key anti-feminist kind of history glossing over. She was the first woman to host, a late-night show. She took over for Johnny Carson when he was... I believe, anyway, that Joan Rivers was the very first woman to host a late night television show in America. But yeah, nobody knows that about her. She's especially for our generation. She just was famous for as long as we were alive. She was famous for the red carpet. So it was kind of like she was just famous for being famous. But that was really, I think, just because people glossed over her part in television history. And she's one of the first female comedians who ever made a name for herself. So it's really, I didn't really find out about any of that until after she had died. But yeah, she was a consummate performer.
Yeah. Then next thing is we got a title and release date for the sequel to Jurassic World. It's going to be called Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Coming out June 22nd.
I'm so excited. Of next year, obviously.
Yes, obviously.
I love the Jurassic Park movies. I love Jurassic World, although I did go back and rewatch it recently, and it was a lot more ridiculous than I remembered it.
I've only seen it the ones in theater.
In theaters, yeah. I don't know if it was my TV, or I'm sure we watched it illegally. I don't remember 100%, but I'm sure we found it somewhere online. Chris Pratt's eyeliner is so distracting. It was like really all I could see the whole time we were watching that movie, and that was probably about the fourth time I had seen it. Like I think that they're great for throwing on to have something in the background, or And it was the first time I had ever noticed it, but Kristen pointed it out, and now I absolutely know it's the only thing I'm going to be able to see anytime I watch a movie forever.
It's like when you watch the Dark Knight trilogy and you notice his eye wart. You can't unsee it. Mm-hmm.
But I'm really excited for Fallen Kingdom. The subtitle is really interesting to me because my friend Andrew has a very specific theory on where the series is going. And Fallen Kingdom isn't quite what I thought it would be to fit Andrew's theory. So
what is his theory?
His theory is that they are going to build on this weaponizing the raptors thing, and they're going to bring them to the mainland, and it's going to be a little bit like Jurassic Park 2, where the T-Rex comes to San Diego at the very end, but it's going to be like the whole movie is going to be like that with the raptors.
Yeah, I don't know, because I did see that Twitter exchange that you had, and the phrase Fallen Kingdom is very evocative of the phrase Lost World to me. Like, they're obviously not like synonyms or anything, but they kind of have a similar, feel to them.
Right.
So, yeah, I could definitely see them, because, when you really get down to it, like, the plot of Jurassic World is basically the same as the first one, except that there's a lot more people on the island at the park than there is in the first one. So I could see that happening where, like, they go to another island where there are already dinosaurs and they kind of just, do their thing on the second island. Mm-hmm. So, or I could be totally wrong.
Do you know if Bryce Dallas Howard is confirmed to come back?
Yes.
Okay, and Chris Pratt, obviously. Mm-hmm. I think they got him for like a 3-movie deal, right?
It sounds about right.
Okay. Yeah, so it'll be really interesting. I wasn't super invested in either Claire or Owen as characters.
Yeah, same.
I hope they build on their characters a little bit. Definitely Owen's, because, I don't know, he just seemed like a kind of personality-less alpha male character to me in the first movie. And I know that Chris Pratt is such an incredible actor, like a character actor. and leading man. So I think they definitely underutilized his acting talent insofar as the dialogue that they gave him, the personality that they directed into the character. So I hope they do a lot with that in the future.
I hope they don't have the kids in the movie, because
there always has to be a kid in the movie.
Well, yeah, a kid, but it doesn't have to be those same two brothers.
No, it does not.
I would be okay if Judy Greer was still in the movie, because she's funny.
She is funny, but she didn't get to go on the island or anything, I know. Which was too bad.
Which would be like, oh, it's like, I finally got rid of these kids, so now I can come on vacation by myself, and then bad things happen. But let's be honest, that probably won't happen. Yeah, who else was in that movie? Oh, Nick from New Girl, Jake Johnson, is that his name? Yeah, he was in the movie. I bet he'll be back. Oh, is she the love interest?
Mm-hmm. She was also on Orange is the New Black.
Okay.
Yeah, but only until, I think, the third season. She's funny. She's hilarious. I really like her. I would like to see her back, too. Obviously, the guy who takes over Injin is not coming back because he died. Yeah. BD Wong has to be in every Jurassic Park. So.
He wasn't in the second one or the third one, I don't think.
BD Wong has to be in every Jurassic Park. So I hope he comes back too.
He's in Gotham.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm, yeah, he plays Professor Strange.
Interesting. Yeah. I did not know that. All right, like I said, I'm very behind on DC television. Yeah, that kid, I think his name is Nick Robinson, the older boy. I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff, too. Wasn't a fan of his performance in that movie. Also, just the character was really annoying. So, I would agree. I think they can swap them out for some definitely more interesting characters.
Yeah.
Maybe a girl this time. That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do one more news item and then we'll take a break. This was a biggie. Phil Lord and Chris Miller announced that they were leaving the still untitled Han Solo project. Now, as is always said with these types of things, they left because of, quote, creative differences. And I read a quote from, I always forget her name, the lady who's the head of Lucasfilm, Kathy something. Anyway, she said, normally we don't like to use the phrase creative differences because, it's so cliche or whatever, but she said that it really was a creative difference, that they had, different visions for the character or the movie or whatever, which, on the one hand, I want to believe her, because, I want to believe that Star Wars, it's doing what's best for their IP, but at the same time, it sounds a little too, nice, you know what I mean? But I don't know. Anyway, Star Wars is definitely very protective of their characters, and if these two dudes were not doing it the way they wanted to, I am not surprised that they, fired them. So I'm not really familiar with Phil Lord and Chris Miller's work, so I don't know what it would have been like, if this is a good thing or a bad thing. They very quickly replaced them with Ron Howard as now helming the movie. You didn't know that?
I did not, actually.
Yeah.
So they were directors, not...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, cool. What did you think?
I thought they were screenwriters, but now thinking on that makes no sense, because I already know that they cast the movie and everything, so I have to have a screenplay that's almost ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
They'd actually started production.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I saw a set picture. So
yeah.
That does make a lot more sense now. Okay.
Yeah.
I like Ron Howard as a director a lot. What's it called? The Grinch. Dope movie. The Angels and Demons movies. Dope. Bridge of Spies. That was pretty good.
I never saw it.
My mom made me go watch it because the guy in the movie, Tom Hanks in the movie, went to Fordham. And my mom was like, oh my god.
You left out the big one. Apollo 13.
Oh, of course. Apollo 13. Also, dope, obviously. Also great for 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, can you do directors for 6 Degrees?
No, just the movie itself.
But he wasn't in the movie.
Kevin Bacon is in the movie.
Well, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I thought you meant, like, connecting Ron Howard with Kevin Bacon.
No, Ron Howard doesn't really act
Not anymore.
Yeah. Although he was in also Arrested Development. Great show. Ron Howard.
Well.
Behind that.
He was only in season 4, and that was, like, one of the...
No, he was an executive producer in the first
No, I know, but as an actor.
Yeah. As an
actor.
I'm just saying one more thing. Like, I know a lot of
Right.
Ron Howard's work, and I like it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm sure you could do 6 Degrees with Ron Howard, because Ron Howard was in Happy Days with the Fonz.
But hardliners for Kevin Bacon will say that TV shows don't count.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm sure you could still do it, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, Ron Howard's directing. He has experience doing a space movie. This is a space movie. Obviously, a very different tone, although we don't know too much about the movie so far. The Han Solo movie, I mean. So, you know, I think it'll be fine. I don't know if it'll be better with him than it would be with the other two dudes, but...
Yeah. I used to get Ron Howard and George Lucas mixed up a lot because they both have 2 first names.
Yeah. I never thought about it, but that is true. So, yeah, that's the news for now. So we're going to take a quick break, watch some trailers, yada, 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 and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back, and we've got quite a few trailers to talk about, so let's jump right into it. First one is the final trailer for Atomic Blonde. So we've talked about the other 2 trailers on the show. I thought they were both good trailers. This one was probably on par with the previous 2. I'll watch this movie eventually, probably not in theaters, but it looks good. I'm interested. I remember when I think it was the first trailer came out, people were saying like, "Oh, she's like a female John Wick," and I think that's pretty accurate, and I think a high compliment.
I haven't seen the John Wick movies, so I can't attest. But I did get a full breakdown of the plot from my friend Alex, so feel like that sounds right. Charlize Theron is awesome. I love her. She looks like she made a lot with the role, considering it doesn't look like it's going to be very character heavy. So, yeah, I probably won't go see it in theaters just because, movie tickets are expensive these days. So, I gotta save my money for only a few select movies, but it does look really good.
Yeah. All right. Then after that, we watched the trailer for The Foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, I liked the trailer. So I'll start there. It was weird. I didn't know anything about this movie. I guess I didn't really know what I was expecting. But in recent years, Jackie Chan. Oh, this movie stars Jackie Chan, by the way. His movies have been like action comedies, like very screwball kind of. I think of him from the what is it? The one with him and the other guy.
Rush Hour.
There we go. Yeah, I think of those movies. I think of like The Tuxedo or what's another good example?
That one that he did that was a straight up Just a Kids movie. I don't know what it's called, but it's one time our aunt took our little brother out of school and they went to go see this movie and they stole Jackie Chan's family. Became a big inside joke for the two of them. That's the only thing I know about the movie, so. But yeah, they stole Jackie Chan's family, which coincidentally is kind of the plot of The Foreigner.
Kind of.
By
stole, you mean brutally murdered.
I feel like a bombing probably wouldn't be that bad. It's over and done in 2 seconds. But the daughter, we found out, is played by the same actress who played Cho Chang in the Harry Potter films.
Katie Leung?
Yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce that. So that's cool. Pierce Brosnan is in this movie. We had a debate about his accent, whether it was authentic or not.
It's very difficult to ascertain.
Yeah.
Apparently he doesn't give a lot of interviews, so that's another thing. The interview that we looked at was from his James Bond era, so I honestly feel that he might have been kind of either stuck in the character or putting on the accent for the interview specifically. Still, it was a little bit mixed between more British and Irish, but he has quite a thick Irish accent in this film, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah. But overall, I thought the plot was pretty good. It looked intriguing. Like I said, this is the most serious I've seen Jackie Chan in anything in a while.
Well, he got that Oscar.
Oh yeah. I'm not really familiar with his Chinese film work. I know that leans more serious than what most Western audiences know him best for. But yeah, this seems like a very serious action revenge plot, which is cool. I like action revenge plots.
I'll be really excited to see him in this film because it looks like it would be a good gauge on his actual acting talent as well.
Then we watched the trailer for Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. So this movie's been talked about for a long time, and I wasn't following it because I was either refusing to believe it was real or hoping that it wasn't as bad as I thought. I actually thought this was a straight up remake prior to watching this trailer, but it's actually worse than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's about these 4 kids who get sent to detention, and they're cleaning up this basement storeroom, and they discover an old video game console, so naturally they plug it in, and what game do they find but Jumanji? And if anything made me mad, it was that.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess we should probably back up. So Jumanji was originally a book written by, I don't remember the author's name, but the same author who wrote Zathura, which is the same concept.
Yeah.
But it was then adapted into a movie starring Robin Williams and
Bonnie Hunt.
And
a young Kirsten Dunst.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And as far as I know, the younger brother character, the actor, never really did anything after that.
Yeah. I don't know what the universal opinion on Jumanji is, honestly. I know we love it. Yeah. I think most people around our age are very fond of the movie. But I think a lot of that is nostalgia.
It came out, I think, just long enough before we were young that it was in, like, every garage sale and every, Goodwill ever. So I think it is very ubiquitous among our generation. And I think that a lot of people will feel the way about it that we do. Yeah.
So the premise of the movie, and the book, the first one, is that there's a board game called Jumanji. And, prior to the main events of the movie, this kid named Alan and his lady friend, who's female, I don't know how else you would say that.
His friend Sarah.
Oh, I didn't remember her name.
Her name is Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. Alan and Sarah find this game at this construction site because it had been buried underground. I guess the movie actually starts that way, is the guy burying it.
Yeah.
So anyway, they get the thing, they open the game, they start to play, and I forget the poem, but basically he gets sucked into the world of Jumanji. He's sucked into the board game. Sarah flips out. She closes the game. They throw it in the attic. Anyway, so flash forward, 30 years? 25, 30 years. And
26 years exactly, I believe.
Okay. These new kids move into the house that the Parrish family used to live in.
Judy and Peter.
Thank you. And they find the game. They start playing because the game never ended. Because that's how the magic of the board works. So they start playing. And
you have to reach the end. You have to reach the end of the board game for the game to be over.
Right. They start playing, and they what is it to let him out? Is it 3 or 8 for him to get out?
5 or 8, yeah, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Man, I guess I haven't watched this movie in a long time.
We should. I would definitely be down to watch it tonight.
Same.
Yeah.
So they let him out of the game. That's what I'm trying to get out.
Which is good because they were about to get attacked by a lion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And basically things go from there. They reconnect with Sarah. And basically a lot of bad things happen. And it's a happy ending. I won't spoil it because you should definitely watch the movie.
If you haven't already.
Right. Now, I don't know if you remember this part, but there was actually a cartoon based off of the movie specifically, like the world they created. And in the cartoon, rather than things coming into the real world, the kids go back into Jumanji with Alan to, I don't know, it's kind of like Cyber Chase. That kind of idea where they go from the real world to this fantasy world and kind of, broker peace between warring villages and like stop animal stampedes, that kind of thing. So this new movie is more along the lines of the cartoon, where the kids get sucked into the game instead of summoning the game into the real world. And that's lame.
I definitely agree. I think that was the most interesting part of Jumanji, is that it's about how rhinos would react in the middle of a suburb and all the chaos that would ensue from monkeys going into the grocery store and things like that. And it's, you see your town, your neighborhood in the movie, and it's really fun and engaging as a kid to see how like a jungle comes to life in real life, in a suburban environment. And this is kind of my problem with The Hangover, the opposite of my problem with The Hangover 3 is that there's the first 2 Hangover movies, there's like no consequences. The whole movie kind of exists in this separate timeline. And in Jumanji, it literally does exist in this separate timeline. And
spoilers.
No, not especially. If you haven't seen the movie, that's not a spoiler. You'll be fine. Just watch it. Also, if you haven't seen this movie, you're like 25 years behind the curve, so get with it. Yeah, I don't see how there would be any real life consequences for the kids in this Jumanji movie, which makes it less of an interesting story.
Yeah.
So, plus, I have a huge problem with the fact that, one, they started out with 2 girl characters and then ended up with only 1 girl character for the majority of the movie, and 2, that they, like, punish the, vain girl character by making her into a fat guy. I don't think that's cool.
So, Dwayne Johnson is in this movie teaming up with Kevin Hart again, for better or for worse. And then Jack Black is also in the movie, and then I didn't know who the 4th actress was.
Karen Gillan.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I mean, like the rest of what they showed after that was them kind of some like slapstick humor of them like getting used to their bodies and that kind of thing. Because when you go in, before you get sucked into the game, you choose your character, and then when you're in the game, that's your avatar. Like, you're not really yourself. And so it was just them kind of like getting over the shock of that. They showed like a bunch of guys on motorcycles, which like doesn't even make sense in the jungle. Like, that's so opposite of, I mean, I guess you could say like we don't know what was like in Jumanji from the movie. Like, they explored that more in the cartoon, obviously, but I only watched, a couple of episodes of that. I don't really remember it that well. So you could say like, oh yeah, the motorcycle guys were always in there along with all of the animals and the hunter dude and whatever, but it just seems so opposite of what was in the first movie,
Well, this could be a different Jumanji as well. We have to account for that possibility, because it could be that the board game and the video game are completely separate worlds. They strongly allude to the fact that, or to the possibility that when Alan is sucked into Jumanji in the first movie, he's somewhere in Africa. This second movie was filmed in Hawaii, and seems to feature some Hawaiian topography, but then also hippos are there. So apparently, I don't even know where you're supposed to think it is, or if it's literally supposed to be some kind of amalgam of jungle-like places. But there's always the possibility that it's not supposed to be the same Jumanji inside the video game as there was coming into the real world from the board game. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, the idea of a cursed board game is cool, and then that just doesn't translate to a video game. Like, it doesn't... Well, it's because there's something about, I think, a board game, a video game, that it's just, ones and zeros in there. You know that. But a board game is kind of like, it could have a little bit of magic. It could be this physical item that you're interacting with. And I mean, I completely agree. I think the idea of it being a video game, I see where they were going with that, trying to bring it into the 21st century, trying to, make it more relatable for kids these days.
Yeah.
Like, plus, to be 1000% honest, it would maybe feel even less real if it was for high school kids who started to play board games. Who does that anymore? So, it's hard to say, but I agree definitely with the fact that they shouldn't have gotten sucked into the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, they were in no situation here. No win situation. Is that what I said? I don't remember. Anyway, I think what they should have done was drop the Jumanji universe, because there's so little connecting them to it. They could have just said video game that sucks you into the world. You get transported to, Hawaii. Obviously, they would have taken some flack for Jumanji comparisons, but I think that would have been better than the fallout from tying it into the Jumanji universe, a very beloved franchise for the most part. And, people are going to say, like, oh, you ruined my love of Jumanji, which...
But that's exactly why they did it, because they wanted to tie it into the Jumanji universe and get the nostalgia factor from people our age or a little bit older than us. They were in a no-win situation, which is why studios need to make films by original screenplays, not keep rebooting things until we all see the same movies 8 times. Sorry.
Anyway, I don't know. It's just... I don't think it's going to be a great movie. I cannot imagine that they spend enough time on the screenplay, obviously, because we're already kind of dissecting some issues with it. And I don't particularly like Kevin Hart as a character actor. I love his stand-up. But I think a lot of his humor falls flat in dialogued movies, and The Rock is great. I have no issues with that, but the character that he's playing doesn't seem all that interesting. Yeah. Just
like a fragile little white boy. Obviously that's supposed to be irony, because The Rock is literally the opposite of that, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to be particularly touching or memorable. And I think that's one of the best things about the original movie, is that it really is touching. It has a lot to say about family and friendship and the importance of recognizing the people around you. And I can't see them having put as much thematic thought into this new edition.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm sure we'll get more trailers for that, and we'll talk about that when that happens. But for the meantime, I'm just going to be mad about it.
Same.
Then we watched the trailer for Pitch Perfect 3.
Mm.
Now, I haven't seen either of the other 2 movies, so I don't have much to say about this. So I'll let Catherine talk about it.
Yep, it's a good thing I'm here. Pitch Perfect 1 is amazing. One of my favorite movies, actually. I hated the second one. Partially for, non-PC reasons. There was a Latina character, and she was completely just there for, racist jokes. So that really soured me to that movie. I can't even tell you. The music wasn't as good either. Haley Steinfeld is cute. She's actually a pretty decent singer. I liked her addition to the group. I'm wondering now if they'll get Ben Platt back. I really like him. He just won a Tony for Dear Evan Hansen. So, he's probably in high demand right now, but obviously they've filmed the movie already, so hopefully if he is in it, that'll be another boon to his career. But that's just... I hope that, again, they put more effort into the screenplay than on the second one, because in the second one, some of them were about to graduate from college, some of them had already graduated, but they didn't go in as deep on the friendship, sisterhood themes as they did the first time, I think. At least it's not as genuinely. So having just graduated from college and this movie is about getting back together with your college friends, I hope that there's a lot of real heartfelt emotion in it, but I don't necessarily see that coming out of this movie from the trailer. But I love Rebel Wilson. She's hilarious. She has a Make America Eat Again hat on, which I think is funny. And I'm just hoping for good music, because that has been my favorite part of those movies so far. I still have the soundtracks.
Okay. That is a thing that is happening.
In December. We'll have to go see it.
We'll see. We watched the trailer for A Bad Mom's Christmas. And again, haven't seen the first one.
I have.
Yeah.
So I was really pleasantly surprised by the first one. I went to go see it just because, like, kind of I didn't have anything else to do. But I ended up, like, laughing my ass off. Oh, sorry. There was this one scene in particular that I almost fell on the floor of the movie theater. So hopefully, we watched the regular trailer, not the red band trailer. The red band trailer was a little bit funnier. Because I had already watched it before the other day. And Christine Baranski has a role. I love her.
Which one's that?
She's Mila Kunis's mom.
Oh, okay.
And she's also in The Grinch.
Oh, yeah,
The Grinch gets a second shout out in this podcast. That seemed like a weird choice to me. That threw me a little bit. Just because I can't see Mila Kunis and Christine Baranski being biologically related at all. But at the end of the first movie, they had all the stars bring their moms and then shoot a little, like...
Oh, they're real moms?
Yeah.
Okay.
They brought them on set and shoot a little, like, post-credits scene about how... Or not, like, an actual scene. Just, you know, they talked with the moms about what it was like to be a mom and raise their daughters and how proud they are of all their daughters starring in the movie. That was really sweet. So I'm hoping that some of that emotion, again, comes into the movie. Like I said, I love Christine Baranski. She can do anything. So hopefully they get some really good scenes together. Katherine Hahn, I'm obsessed with her. She was probably the funniest character in the last movie, so I'm hoping they give her a lot to do too. You know who she is, right?
Is that the one that's not Kristen Bell?
Kristen Bell or Mila Kunis,
yeah.
So she's like the single mom. But I'm definitely going to see it. I think it looks like it could be really good because I remember the last one, I wasn't like super impressed with the trailer, but it ended up being better than I thought it was going to be. So hopefully it blows my expectations again.
All right. Right on. Then we watched the trailer for Death Note. So we talked about the first trailer, and this was more of the same. We saw a lot more of Ryuk, but that was really it. Like, I didn't really take anything else away from the trailer, really. There was this one weird scene with the Ferris wheel accident, and Light was there with his, whatever this love interest's name is. So that was a thing that definitely wasn't in the anime. I kind of doubt it was in the manga either. Do you know anything about Death Note?
Not really, but I don't like Nat Wolf, so his presence kind of irks me.
You should definitely watch the anime. Like, it is incredible storytelling. So, absolutely awesome. It's on Netflix, so yeah. I'll watch this movie. We'll see how that goes. I'm not particularly enthusiastic about it. The video had a ton of dislikes on it. You know,
it's just so hard to adapt a beloved title to people's satisfaction. I can't imagine that this adaptation will have anything over an anime version. Just in part because of the material that they're dealing with. You know, it didn't seem like the subject was realistic enough to work in a realism format. So I think, yeah, it's probably not.
I mean, there have been other live action Death Note movies from Japan. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea, but I don't know. We'll see.
They just wanted to hit the American audience. That's... Yeah. I'm sure Netflix isn't going to lose money on it, so...
I don't know. It could always, turn around and be, really good, so we'll see.
Also, forgot to mention something earlier, but now that we're talking about Netflix, I was watching Orange is the New Black, and they, spoiler alert, they have a prison riot. And they are writing down their list of demands, and one of their top demands is Netflix.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. And it's only ever, they never, say it out loud. It's only ever, written on a list kind of in the background of one scene, and I love those little Easter eggs. That one I found to be particularly funny. So.
So then we watched the trailer for the upcoming Inhumans movie / TV show. It's kind of a weird situation.
It's a TV show.
Well, then I know, but yeah. Anyway,
for those of you who don't know, they apparently filmed the whole series with IMAX cameras, which doesn't really mean anything unless you're in an IMAX theater. So they're releasing the first episode, first two episodes in IMAX in theaters, and then they're releasing the rest of the series on television on ABC.
Yeah, so this is our first look at, the whole shebang. We've been, looking at, stills and stuff. I can't really report on that on a podcast because you can't really put up pictures or anything. I mean, I guess technically I could for the YouTube version, but that sounds like way too much work. But yeah, this is finally seeing all of it in motion. I was really impressed. I'm definitely looking forward to this. Catherine's facial expression tells me not so much.
I mean, I am, but I just, realistically, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it, given time constraints and whatnot. It looks really good. I don't know really anything about this part of the Marvel Universe, so definitely love to check it out. But I'm also interested to see how it ties into the rest of the MCU.
Yeah.
And find out more about this story, because it seems really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess I don't know what to talk about that we didn't really already know and I've talked about on the podcast before. I mean, Lockjaw was there, which is cool. He's the teleporting dog who brings Black Bolt down to Earth. But yeah, the whole, I forget the brother's name, Ramsey, leading a revolt. The Inhumans keeping to themselves, which doesn't really even make that much sense because that's a big part of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. storyline, or at least it was for season... Are they on season... No, they're on season 4 now. So for the first 3 seasons, that's been a big part of it. Basically, the whole world knows about Inhumans now. There's been a lot of Terrigenesis happening throughout the world. Basically, for those who don't know, including Catherine, the Inhumans are the ancestors of the Kree, which were featured in Guardians of the Galaxy. We never really see them, but they're the ones that Ronan hates. So all Inhumans are, human, but they have Kree ancestry, and when exposed to the Terrigen Mist, which is this crystal that, turns into mist, when they're exposed to that, they go through this metamorphosis, which awakens their inhuman powers. And, so they live on this, planetoid that's their own kingdom, and Black Bolt, who's the main dude in the trailer, is the king of the Inhumans, and his power is he has a destructive voice. Basically what they say is that a whisper from Black Bolt can kill a person, and if he were to shout, it would destroy a planet. So yeah, he's like really powerful, but like a strong, silent type, literally. And
so he's the main character of this show, and he's never going to speak. Almost never going to speak.
Right.
That's bold.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, so, we see, bits and pieces of cool stuff, and I'm definitely excited to check this out. And see how it ties into the MCU. That should be interesting. I was kind of disappointed as to how much Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. factored into the MCU. I feel like they kind of promised that it was going to be a big part of it, and then it wasn't, which, is good, because I didn't get into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a long time. So, it's kind of by necessity for them to not make it an integral part of what's going on. It's more that the movies tie into the plot of the show than vice versa. But yeah, I don't know about Inhumans. It looks good, though. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm. It does. Great.
Okay, then the next trailer we watched was for Star Wars Forces of Destiny, which is a new animated show coming to Disney XD, I think, featuring the women of Star Wars, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it did look really cool. I'm a little confused because I hadn't even heard about this show until we were watching the trailer. So I guess it exists over several different periods of time. So that'll definitely be really interesting. Rey's voice actress threw me off a little bit, just because I guess that is the most salient Star Wars movie to me, so I'm very familiar with Daisy Ridley's voice, and obviously it's not Daisy Ridley voicing this character, so I don't know, that just irks me a little bit from just listening to it. But I've never watched any of these Star Wars TV shows, really.
Same.
And I can't imagine that the stories would be too interesting, just given from Rogue One that the stories that don't advance the larger plot of the Star Wars universe, which is basically everything except for the main movies. And I do understand there's a lot of the Star Wars extended universe that I'm probably missing out on some really great stuff, but this just looks like it's gonna be, primarily for kids, primarily about characters who only semi-factor into the main plot of the films now. So for me, as a slightly more than casual Star Wars fan, it does look interesting. It does look like it could be really good, but I'm just probably not gonna have the time to watch it.
I thought it looked good. Yeah, like you said, how the timeline of the show, because they showed the show Padme, Leia, Ahsoka, Jin, Rey, thank you, and Sabine. I think those are the only ones they showed. I know because I saw some promotional art on the Star Wars Twitter account. They definitely had Hera in there. There's another character from Rebels along with Sabine. I think those are probably... Oh, Ahsoka is from the Clone Wars and Rebels. I think those are the only ones you wouldn't be familiar with. You've probably heard their names or seen them before.
I've definitely seen Ahsoka because she was on Clone Wars for a long time.
Yeah.
Our little brother John Paul used to watch that show.
Yeah. What?
There was some time a long time ago. I don't even remember what we were doing, but John Paul just absolutely had a meltdown about being home to watch Star Wars Clone Wars live on television, even though it was recording over DVR. And it's not like he had to be on Twitter to talk about it with his friends or anything. He just, really wanted to be home to watch it when it came on.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't be home, and he just freaked out.
I have no memory of that, but I believe you. So yeah, anyway, I don't know, like, if each episode is going to focus on a different character, or if it's going to be, like, you know, little vignettes that go over... I don't know how it's going to be. It just looks interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I also thought the art style was very interesting. Like, hand-drawn animation. Very, very stark departure from the Clone Wars and Rebels, so...
Definitely.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Jake Long, American Dragon. But the first art style, not the second art style.
Right.
That was trash. Hot garbage. They made him look less Asian. So messed up.
Okay. I mean, he's only half Asian.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that he had to look white.
Alright. Yeah. Star Wars. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Okay, we're almost done with trailers here. We watched this trailer for new interactive Netflix shows. It's basically like a choose-your-own-adventure story in TV show form, which is an interesting concept. I don't know how it'll be in execution. Like, you know, who knows how much your choices are really going to factor into it, but I like the idea.
I do like the idea, but I think that they should definitely just stick to it for kids' shows.
Yeah.
For me, personally, when I'm sitting down to watch a movie, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything.
Could you imagine watching House of Cards and having a pop-up be like, should Frank, you know, punch this guy in the face or not?
Should Frank punch himself in the face? Make it look like the other guy did it. Something like that. No, I mean, that would be way too stressful. It will be a lot. And I know for me personally, like, I am very interested in anti-heroes and complex characters and everything, but whenever I'm in a choose-your-own-adventure, I just go for, like, the most happy ending choices, and I don't think I would... This is definitely not for me, personally.
I mean, I haven't read a choose-your-own-adventure book in a long time. I mean, like, you know, games do it. That's kind of a different story, but, like, whenever I did, I would just read the whole book. Not, like, you know, front to back, because that would make any sense.
You would go down each
yeah
path. I actually just bought a Choose Your Own Adventure book the other day. It's called To Be or Not to Be, and it is a Choose Your Own Adventure of Hamlet. Yeah, so I didn't buy it for me. I bought it as a birthday present for a friend, so I have not gotten a chance to look through it yet, but if any of you is interested in Choose Your Own Adventure books, there's this Hamlet one, and then there's also a Romeo and Juliet one by the same author. His name is Ryan North. So,
right on.
Yeah, and they seem like really interesting books.
Okay, final trailer for this week was a trailer of the Lego Ninjago movie video game, which is a mouthful, a little confusing. We're not going to talk about it for very long because there wasn't too much. Neither of us have any familiarity with Ninjago. I mean, I watched the trailer and it looks funny. I'll definitely watch the movie. I'll probably end up playing the game too, honestly. But I don't have any attachment with characters yet. The only thing that I really have to say about it is that it looked a lot less funny than previous Lego games. Like, that's a big draw of the Lego games for me, is watching the cutscenes and seeing how they, you know, replace the deaths with very cartoonish, kid-friendly ways of dying. You know, not dying, but, like, being taken out of the story. That kind of thing. And since this is their own property, like Lego's own original property, there's not really any way for them to do that, and it just didn't seem as funny to me. So
yeah, I don't think the movie looked as funny either. I watched the trailers, and I'm a huge fan of the Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie, but this one didn't seem like it was going to be as good to me. Consequently,
I laughed.
I was not as impressed with the video game trailer. I think Lego tends to make really good video games, so hopefully it'll live up to the other ones in the franchise.
Yeah. Alright, let's get back to some news here. So, have you seen any of the Saw movies?
No.
Well, I have seen all of them because I hate myself, I guess. And the last one that came out it was actually a while ago now. It was like 2010, 2011, something like that. And the title of that movie was Saw: The Final Chapter. Mm-hmm. But much to no one's surprise, I don't think, they're rebooting the series with a new movie called Jigsaw coming October 27th of this year. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So Jigsaw is the puppet that the serial killer dude uses. I actually don't think it really gets used that much in the later iterations of the series. I could be wrong. But he's like the most iconic part of the movie, you know, other than the like, I want to play a game and like maybe, you know, one or two of the traps, like all people really remember is the freaky puppet thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the premise behind this movie is, if it's like a prequel or just a straight up reboot. Like, I don't know. You know, as much as I hate to admit it, like I'm invested in the franchise at this point. Like I hate watch it. Like I don't watch it to enjoy it. I watch it to, you know, make fun of it or, you know, honestly just to stay with the chronology. Just to say like, yeah, I've seen all of the Saw movies. Yeah.
I hate watch Gilmore Girls, so I feel you. Do you like Gilmore Girls?
Well, if you listen to the podcast, you would know the answer to that question. Short story. I can't believe this is the third time I'm talking about this on the show. Yes, I did enjoy it. I got very invested in the characters. But that made me more angry when I started, you know, being
upset. A Year in the Life?
Well, no, before that, like it was in season 5 when I started like really disliking a lot of the directions the characters were taking. Mm-hmm. And yes, A Year in the Life was definitely a part of that.
Yeah, I agree. We're not going to get into this on air. Okay. So, but we'll talk about it later.
Alrighty. So yeah, that's Jigsaw. It's a thing. I'm sure it'll make money.
I'm sure.
Which is sad.
There haven't been a lot of great horror movies recently. Or suspense, whatever genre Saw technically falls into. I think like The Purge was supposed to be this great horror suspense series similar to / in the vein of Saw and others, but I've never seen a Purge movie. From what I hear, they're not that great. So maybe they'll bring it back.
Perhaps. Moving on. It was confirmed this week that in the upcoming Venom movie, starring Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock. Was it Eddie Brock? Yeah, I think it was Eddie Brock. Anyway, Carnage will be appearing in said movie. Now, the whole Venom, Carnage, Anti-Venom, Toxic, like there's a whole bunch of those symbiotes that are like all like essentially children of the Venom was the original, and then I think Carnage was the offspring of him, and so on and so forth. I don't really know all of that lineage, but basically Venom kind of varies. Like sometimes he's a villain, sometimes he's an anti-hero, sometimes he's a straight up good guy. Carnage is always just like an agent of chaos more than anything. He just kind of wreaks destruction for the sake of wreaking destruction.
Chaotic neutral.
Right. I love me a good alignment chart. So yeah, he's gonna be like, I guess, the antagonist in that movie. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Do we know who's playing? Did I already say that?
No. Okay. They just announced Carnage is going to be in it.
Maybe it'll be Leonardo DiCaprio.
Maybe.
No?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. I don't think I could see it.
They could redux their fight from The Revenant.
I haven't seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I never got around to it. No, I was the one you first said that I started thinking of Inception.
Oh, good point. Yeah, no. They're enemies in The Revenant, so fits a little bit better. Plus, they have a pretty intense fight scene. But it would be very different than a superhero fight scene.
Right.
So, but I'm sure if he's supposed to be the offspring of Venom, then I'm sure they'll pick somebody younger.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Then we got the announcement that there is a HBO series being developed based on the Watchmen franchise universe. I don't know. Developed by Damien Lindelof. And I remember because this was a couple weeks ago, and I looked up what he had been in charge of. And now I forget. So talk about Watchmen for us.
Never seen it. Never read the book. But a friend did just buy it for me as a graduation present. So it is waiting for me back in New York. I'm definitely interested to read it. Know a lot of people who have loved it over the years. And I think that a TV show could be hard. Because as far as I know, there's only the one graphic novel.
I believe so, yeah.
So, it's so hard when you're going that far outside canon like that. And again, that's one of those titles that everyone loves. And there's going to be a lot of strong opinions from the core fan base about the adaptations, and you're never going to be able to please anyone. Those vocal... maybe minorities, maybe majorities who don't like it are going to be loud and strong, and I can see them getting a lot of pushback for this no matter what, but hopefully they do it justice, and we'll see. It definitely depends a lot, I think, on the network, because different networks are so different in the tones for the shows that they have. Maybe AMC could do a good job on this.
It's HBO.
Oh, you already said that. HBO. Okay. All right.
Okay,
does
so...
HBO have a lot of experience with superhero shows? Or, like...
I mean, Westworld is... I know that's sci-fi.
That was their first foray, really, into... Other than Game of Thrones...
Which isn't sci-fi.
Like, yeah, but any kind of, like, fantastical, not realistic.
Right.
That's HBO's shtick for the last 20 years, has been these very, like, real world kind of stories. So, Flash.
Okay, so the dude's name is actually Damon Lindelof, not Damien.
Damon, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he was a writer and producer on Lost, so that's already big points in my book. He was a producer on the Star Trek movie, the J.J. Abrams one. Cool. He was a writer on the sequel, but not on the third one, so that's interesting. He was a writer and producer for Cowboys and Aliens. Writer-producer for Prometheus.
Okay.
Writer for World War Z. Writer for Phineas and Ferb.
Oh, alright. This is going to be great.
And a writer and producer for Tomorrowland.
Okay, well, that last one kind of threw off the curve of excellence there.
I liked Tomorrowland.
I've never seen it, actually, so maybe I'm wrong, but all I know is that...
No, I think it was generally panned, but I enjoyed it. Okay.
Do you like Britt Robertson? The girl?
Sure. Yeah, she was fun.
Okay. Yeah. But, like, in general, do you...
I don't know her for anything else.
Really?
Maybe I do.
She's been around for a long time.
I don't know. Yeah, so yeah, I'm excited. I'll definitely watch it. I didn't get my chance to talk about it. I never read the graphic novel, although I do own it. I've just been sitting in the nice fancy box that I just haven't ever gotten around to reading. But I did see the movie once a long time ago, and I remember liking it. So yeah, should be good stuff. So I should have put this at the beginning. We got some more Fox Marvel news. First is that they're going to be rebooting the Fantastic Four franchise. Again.
Great.
This one...
It's gonna end well.
This one is reported to be a more kid-friendly take on the franchise. And it's going to be featuring the children of Reed Richards and Sue Storm, who are both mutants.
That's very interesting. Do you know what network?
No,
it's a film.
Yeah.
It's a film. Sorry. Yeah. I really like the Fantastic Four characters. I don't know. The first one came out, or like the first Ian Grufford, Jessica Alba one came out, like 2007.
I want to say 2005.
Earlier? Okay. So I was a little too young to know how bad it was, I guess, but I have a soft spot for those movies, and it's really frustrating how, like, no one has ever been able to do anything really good with those characters.
Mm-hmm.
The children of Sue and Mr. Fantastic.
Reed.
I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
The concept kind of seems like they're abandoning the characters. That's kind of uncool.
Yeah, well, they just want to hold on to the rights. I think just kind of as a middle finger to Disney.
Yeah. I don't blame them.
Yeah. Then we also got some release dates for unannounced movies. So we've got one in June 2019, one in November 2019, one in March, and then June, and then October of 2020, and then finally one of March 2021.
I cannot believe that we're already putting out release dates for movies in 2020.
Movies that they haven't even attached a title to. Like, they're just like, yeah, we're going to put a movie on this day, and we'll figure out what movie and shoot it later. Like, I just hate them doing that. This is like the prime example of putting the cart before the horse. It's like, let's lock this date down so that no other movies try to swoop in and take it. And, the rest will just come naturally. It's like, that's the most asinine way of doing business in a creative medium. I just hate the movie industry. I mean, it's just, makes me mad.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about something happier. So we got some more details about Godzilla King of the Monsters. This movie is going to be featuring Mothra, Rodan, and Ghidorah.
I know who Mothra is. I don't know who the other two are.
Yeah, Rodan, I think, is like a giant turtle kind of dude. And Ghidorah is like a two-headed dragon dude who's like... I was reading about it when I did this, when I read the article about it. I want to say he's like, tries to usurp Godzilla's title as King of the Monsters. Like, he wants to be the ruler of the other kaiju or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, basically they're like blowing their load on the other monsters in this movie. Like, the other iconic Godzilla monsters that are going to be left after this is like Mechagodzilla. Mm-hmm. And like, that's almost it, I think. Like, I'm probably forgetting one or two, but yeah, I mean, they're like kind of just throwing everything out here, just kind of see what sticks, I think. So, I don't know, man. Like, did you see the first Godzilla movie? I mean, the recent one with Aaron Taylor Johnson?
I did not.
Oh, okay. I liked it a lot. I thought it was good. So I hope that they do a good job with this one. But it kind of feels like the Spider-Man 3 syndrome with just too many bad guys. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. We'll see.
I've never seen that series. None of them.
Yeah, I know. It came up on the last time you recorded with us.
Oh, really? Did it?
Yeah.
Also, I realized that the last time I was here, I had the letter U. So it's kind of like I did it 2 times in a row.
Almost. Okay, now for some sad news. The actor Michael, and I'm going to butcher this last name, I think Nyquist is probably what I would say.
Nyquist.
passed away at the age of 55. He was in the movie John Wick.
R.I.P. That's way too young.
Yeah.
It's our dad's age.
Dang. I just made it real.
You're welcome.
So yeah, that's sad.
Also, R.I.P. the guy who wrote Paddington Bear.
Oh yeah. I didn't write that down because I never read any of those books.
Me neither.
But yes.
But
may he also rest in peace.
It's super iconic for everyone else.
Yeah.
In the world. Also, happy 20th anniversary to Harry Potter. That also happened this week.
Mm-hmm.
First book, Philosopher's Stone, was published in the UK. And it was brought to the United States about 18 months later, I believe, by Scholastic.
Sounds about right. Alright, final news item for this week. Jake Busey confirms that he is going to be in the movie The Predator. And will be playing the son of Gary Busey's character from Predator 2. So, a couple things about this. First of all, is that someone agreed to procreate with Gary Busey, which is kind of impressive.
That's not necessarily true.
Why?
Well, he might be adopted.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe he was, what's it called? Artificially, he's a test tube baby.
Perhaps.
Is that an offensive term now? Either way. Oh, also, funny story. Kristen told me that her sister was an IVF baby. And then I accidentally told Catherine, and she did not know.
Oh my gosh.
And I, said it in front of their mom. Because Catherine's 16, so I didn't think that she wouldn't have known about that. Also, it's not like telling a kid, accidentally outing a kid as being adopted or something. It's it doesn't matter. And these two girls, there is absolutely no way that they're not related. They look exactly alike, so there's no question about lineage here, but still, it was that's one of the most awkward things that's ever happened to me. I was accidentally telling this girl that she was a test tube baby.
I don't know how to follow up from that. Jake Busey, I actually didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know he was a person.
Oh,
I'd never heard of him.
Yeah.
He's gonna be in Predator.
Cool.
The Predator.
Do you think that's ever gonna cross with Prometheus?
I hope so. Yeah, I'd love to get a third Alien vs. Predator movie.
Well, because that's why they're making Prometheus, right? So that Ridley Scott can make more Alien movies.
I guess. I mean, Covenant already came out, and they've got I think 2 more planned.
Yeah. My friend Andrew told me that they made those movies to kind of invalidate the third Alien, the plot of the third Alien movie, and
Alien
be
3?
able to
I
come
love
back.
Alien 3.
Apparently, you're the only one. I haven't seen it. I
also loved Alien Resurrection.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I hadn't even seen Alien until quite recently, and we didn't even make it all the way through, because we were trying to watch a kind of a scary movie, and Alien actually isn't that scary, so we basically skipped to the scene where the alien pops out of the guy's stomach, and then we switched to Aliens.
That's not a scary movie either.
It's scarier.
I don't know about that, but did you like it?
I did. Ripley is awesome. I met Sigourney Weaver one time.
Nice.
Yeah. She was at an event that I was working at. I gave her a boat.
Yeah, anyway, that's all I have to say about the Buseys.
Oh, because have you seen Finding Dory?
Yes.
Okay. So Sigourney Weaver her father was the very first president of NBC television. His name was Pat Weaver. He founded the Today Show. Her family's super rich and famous, important in New York. So she does these promos for New York State government for the tourism bureau, and she did one for the botanical gardens. And I live very close to the New York Botanical Gardens, and I work there doing some catering sometimes. So she was there for this event, and they played this clip of the tourism promo. And so then, like, a couple weeks after this, I went to go see Finding Dory,
Mm-hmm.
when she does, like, the tourism clips in, for, the Jewel of, Mora Bay. And I just died. I don't even know why, but I thought it was so funny that she, in real life, she did these tourism clips, and then...
Life imitates art.
Exactly.
Alright, so that's all of our news for this week. I have a few hot takes. This is a new segment that we introduced since the last time you were on the show.
Cool.
Basically, this is just a kind of freeform talk about stuff we've been watching past week. Just some quick thoughts. So I'll go first really quickly, because I don't know if you need to, like, write down everything that you've been watching, because I know you watch a lot of stuff. So, first thing is, I watched a movie with Robin called You Get Me. This is a Netflix original movie. So bad. Basic plot here is a jilted lover story. This dude is with this chick. They're at a party. They get into a fight. And he goes home with this other chick that he meets at a party. They get it on. And she, goes all crazy ex-girlfriend on him. She transfers to his school. She, thinks that he wants to be in a, secret affair with her. Like, he is really in love with her and not his girlfriend, because they get back together. They, make up after the fight. And it wasn't a bad movie. It's not like, the camera was all shaky or there was bad lighting. And, none of the acting performances, none were great, but they weren't terrible either. It just wasn't original. This movie didn't do anything that I hadn't seen before. You know what I mean? It was just very by the numbers, like a high school drama that I didn't care about. And I did not enjoy it.
That stinks.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, if you're into, melodramatic, sort of romantic, drama, murdery type of movies, maybe you'll like it. I mean, it had a high rating on Netflix, but I think, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of inflate their own numbers. You know what I mean? So, who knows? But, yeah, that was the thing that I watched. Then I watched a little movie you may have heard of called Schindler's List. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay. So obviously this movie is excellent. I mean, there's a reason that people still talk about it. For those who don't know, it is set during World War II. While the Nazi forces are rounding up the Jewish people and eventually moving them to extermination camps. And something that I was struck by when I was watching this movie is I've seen, portrayals of Auschwitz and other camps like that before. But what I hadn't really ever seen before was a portrayal of the ghettos that the Jews were forced into before they were eventually cleared out and moved to the camps. And honestly, they're just as bad as the camps were. I mean, obviously, there wasn't any, extermination in mass numbers going. They were still being killed. When they were being forced to move out of their current place of residence, and if they found hiding or anything, they would be killed. But the conditions in the ghettos were just unbelievable. And yeah, that's I'd heard about it, learned about it in history class or whatever, but I'd never really seen much of it, and that just gave me a new appreciation for what they went through. And yeah, I mean, it was just a very powerful movie. Liam Neeson is, I mean, unbelievable in this movie. Like, does an incredible job. I was also reflecting, it's really funny that, most audiences nowadays think of him as this badass action guy with, the Taken movies and, like, The Gray and Nonstop, those types of things where he's really doing the same role, essentially. But before that, he had a very prolific, dramatic acting career. And,
Definitely.
yeah, so he was really incredible. Ralph Fiennes also does a great job in this movie, and Sir Ben Kingsley, who would then later go on to play another Jewish character in one of my favorite movies ever, Lucky Number 11. Yeah, so really awesome movie. If I had to make one criticism, there's a few times throughout the movie where I felt like there was too much gore. Not because I can't handle it or anything, and it wasn't like really like over the top. It was kind of like, why are you showing this to me? Like, is this, for entertainment purpose? Is it, to hammer home what they were going through? Or is it, just violence for the sake of violence? Like, so that was one thing. It is a very long movie, but it really didn't feel as long as it was. It was that gripping. So yeah, definitely highly recommend it.
Okay, cool.
Then I have just a few TV ones. So as I alluded to before, I finished watching Sense8. And I have to say, hard pass from me on this one. So Sense8 is kind of hard to describe, but I'll do my best. There's a group of 8 people, what are known as a cluster of Sense8s. And essentially, each of them can experience, like, take in the sensory input of any one of the other ones. And it's confusing, it's very complicated, and it does come across in the show how complicated that is, and they kind of, bend some rules of their own throughout the show, but that's besides the point. And so Sense8s are a separate species from Homo sapiens. They're Homo sensorium. And you're born, not having these, for lack of a better word, powers. You are, quote, reborn later on in your life when another Sense8, quote, gives birth to this cluster. And there's this government agency who's trying to hunt them down because they don't trust anything that's not like them. So there's a lot of, like, X-Men mutant, anti-mutant vibes. So just based on that description, I think it sounds like a good show. So where it breaks down is a couple things. One of them is that this show has a very left-leaning agenda, which, hold on, hear me out. I respect any creator's right to insert their views into what they create. Like, even if I don't agree with it, as the person who's putting the work into creating something, I respect their right. What I don't appreciate is when they beat you over the head with it repeatedly. A message like that is more powerful when it's subtle, and there was nothing subtle about their views on sex and sexuality and gun control and those types of things. It was very liberal, just really in your face. I did not appreciate that. And if that was the only thing that was wrong with it, I would still probably walk away and say, like, okay, like, this was, I enjoyed it. I got over that. What really bothered me was that the cool sci-fi elements are like a subplot. What it's really about is these people, the cluster, learning their powers, and then using that in their own personal lives, which was just boring to me. Like, I didn't really care about any of their relationships. I just wanted to see, because the action scenes that were in there, they were really good. this was made by the Wachowskis, who did the Matrix trilogy.
Mm.
So they obviously know what they're doing when it comes to really cool action scenes and cool sci-fi. And, you know, that definitely is there in certain parts. But once, you know, the majority of the show is about... So, like, for example, one of the characters is a gay Hispanic man who lives in Mexico City. And a lot of it is about... him and his boyfriend and his beard trying to work out the dealing with not being accepted for his homosexuality in his career. He's an actor. And another one of the characters is an Indian woman who lives in New Delhi, I think it was. And her deal is that she's about to get married and she's not in love with the guy she's going to marry. And spoilers, she ends up falling in love with another one of the guys in her cluster. And yeah, there's just a lot of that. And I just didn't care about that. I just wanted to know about government conspiracies and beating up bad guys. Another thing that bothered me, and this was kind of a minor detail, is that it's a very international cast. So it's 2 Americans, one lady was from Iceland, but she lives in London. A German guy, an Indian woman, a Mexican guy, a guy from Kenya, and...
There's an Asian girl, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So a South Korean woman.
Okay.
Was that 8?
I think so.
Yeah. So 4 men, 4 women. And even though they're spread throughout the world, they all speak English. Like, you very rarely hear them speak their native language, which I just like, you know, if you have an international cast, you might as well, like, I don't mind reading subtitles. Like, that would have brought some more authenticity. Like, obviously, they would need to all speak English to each other, because that's the one language they all understand.
Mm-hmm.
Although, there were a few times when, like, so one of the American guys is a cop, and he, like, starts speaking Korean, like, you know, because this other woman in his cluster knows Korean, so now he knows Korean. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. That was just my thing.
I really respect that one, because that really, really irks me when little differences in language could be made more authentic by using the native language of a place or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, overall problematic. Like I said, like, there are gems of good stuff in there. It just wasn't for me. I will say one good thing about it is the character who lives in Kenya. His name is Capheus. He drives what's known as a matatu, which is essentially a bus that takes people from, like, it's not like makes frequent stops. It's just like the suburbs to the main city, I guess. Mm-hmm. And his and all the other matatus in the show are themed. So, like, the one that he drives is called the Van Damme. He's a huge fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme. And there's the Bat Van and the Go Bama. Those are the only ones they ever mention. And I really think that we should adopt that in the United States. I would love to ride on a public-themed transportation.
Yeah, that sounds great. It'd be really interesting.
Yeah. I appreciate a good pun.
The Go Bama.
Yeah. I also finished watching another Netflix original series called Flaked, which you said you haven't watched, right? Not. Seems like there's quite a bit of Netflix original programming you haven't watched.
I told you, it's only the ones that have come out in, like, the last year and a half.
So, Flaked is one of 3 Netflix original shows featuring Will Arnett, which is funny.
It's true.
Now, I went into this thinking it was a comedy, and it definitely wasn't. Like, I had a few chuckles, but I would never, like, bust out laughing, and it's much more melodramatic. So, if you're interested in this show, go into it expecting that, not, you know, a laugh a minute or anything. So the main premise of the show is that Will Arnett's character is named Chip, and he's a recovering alcoholic. He is in Alcoholics Anonymous. At the beginning of the show, he's leading the meetings. I don't know what the term for that is, but he's, you know, like, he's been sober for 10 years, or so we think. And he's, gained enough prestige in his local community his local Alcoholics Anonymous community to lead meetings or whatever. And the show is just about him lying to his friends, just basically being a dick all the time, trying to, have relationships without forging connections, if that makes any sense. And yeah, just a lot of weird music and a lot of talking about drinking. And it was, I don't know, it was okay. There's only 14 episodes. The first season is 8 episodes and the second episode is 6. They're 30 minutes long, so it's not a lot of time investment. Like, you could easily blow through that in a day if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was alright. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about this week is I watched the Arrowverse crossover episodes. So this is Flash, Arrow, and DC's Legends of Tomorrow with Supergirl added into the mix, although her show doesn't feature any of the action. She just comes over from her Earth to the Arrowverse. And it was good, but I guess I was expecting more. Like, it felt like each of the 3 parts felt very specific to the episode, to the show that it was on. Like, the Flash episode felt like it was an episode of Flash, and then Arrow felt like it was Arrow, and Legends felt like it was Legends. Like, it didn't really there was no coercion.
Commingling.
Yeah. Cohesion, not coercion. Those are different words. Thank you. Yeah, so I was, like, really excited. I thought it was going to be, like, just, like, one really long, like, fight sequence, and then it wasn't. So, it was good. I enjoyed it, but, yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those, it's so hard to get groups to work together like that, and when you're writing a TV show, you already have a big enough group of writers to make things complicated, so trying to write across 3 TV shows, I cannot imagine.
Yeah.
It'd be awful. Okay. So is it my turn?
Yes.
Alrighty then. I've been pretty busy lately. One of my best friends had her birthday this week, so we hung out a lot this week. Have not been watching a whole lot of stuff. But, like I said earlier, I've been watching Orange is the New Black, which is great. This season is really, really good so far. I'm on episode 4. Highly recommend. Start at the beginning. It is a bit of a time investment, but Netflix only does, short seasons, so it's not as bad as it could be. But plus the show is amazing, so you'll just want to just blow through the whole thing. Also, rewatched Moana this week. It did not stand up.
Really?
It wasn't as good as I thought it was in theaters, personally.
Like, the whole thing, or just the story, the animation, or the music, or...
The whole thing overall, not as good as I thought it was the first time. Another thing that stuck out to me was, which I actually did kind of think the first time, and this is a very hot take for me, people, but I did not think the music was as good as it could have been. And as you may know, Lin-Manuel Miranda did the music for the movie, and I'm obsessed with him. I love almost everything he's ever done, but Moana was, like, amongst the lowest caliber of his projects that I've ever seen, to me personally. Like, Bring It On the musical is better. In terms of lyricism and musicality. So, but Moana is a great character. Maui's character, not as good as I remembered it being. Animation is still great. Actually liked the chicken even better. But I imagine there's a lot of parents who are pretty upset that Netflix got that now.
Oh, because the kids are just going to repeat it over and over.
I honestly think that people have paid to not put Frozen on Netflix. What else? Took a little dip back into 30 Rock last week, which was a great decision, as always. 30 Rock and Parks and Rec are probably my two shows that I could watch anytime. Almost any episode. Parks and Rec, I generally avoid the first 2 seasons. But I watched the episode with Steve Martin, which is great. And one of the episodes with oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the actress's name, but Jack's mom, Colleen.
Oh yeah.
The one where he runs her over with his car on Christmas. So funny. And then you find out that she was banging FAO Schwartz so that Jack could get Christmas presents. And what else? Also rewatched a little bit of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. If you guys do watch that show / want to start that show, I've never seen the first season because my friend who got me into it told me that the first season is not good and just to start on the second season. But the first episode of the second season of that show is so iconic. It is incredible. So, did I have any other hot takes this week? Nope, I don't think so. Yeah. That was kind of it for me.
Right on.
Right on.
Alrighty. Well, we didn't get any emails, sadly. And since Catherine's such a newbie at the podcasting game, she's not used to the whole 3 to 4 hour recording time. So, gonna cut our break this week. We're gonna skip the feature topic. But that's fine. I think Brandon might enjoy the one that I had planned a little bit better anyway. So,
cool. I
think it works out. So that means we're going to skip straight to the fanfic fight segment, aka the Kevin segment. So, it's really funny. Whenever I think of fanfic fights, which is harder than you might imagine, with Brandon, it's always really easy because, like, he and I have such similar tastes. I know, like, if I do this character, I can definitely do that, and he can definitely do that. And, he just has such a wide breadth of knowledge that it's easier to think of one for him. Whenever we have guests on, especially when it's like 3 or 4 people, it gets tougher. But thought of a good one for us to do.
Cool.
So it's going to be King Trident of Atlantica versus Aquaman of Atlantis.
Whoa. First, a correction. It's actually King Triton.
Really?
Yes, and it's King Triton's trident.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does he chew trident?
That's a great question. Definitely.
Can you chew gum underwater?
Talk to Jodie Benson. Yes.
Do mermaids have teeth?
Yes. Ariel doesn't just gum around all the time. Interesting. All right. Well, are we going like Jason Momoa Aquaman or like early?
It's up to you. You can pick, or whoever chooses Aquaman can choose any
I'm
iteration.
going with Trident.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to pick now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What's the coolest Aquaman around? I could go Flashpoint. That would be a good way to go. But what happens? Something bad happens to him in that movie, so I won't do that. I'll go with Injustice.
Okay.
Well, guests are allowed to either go first or allow the other person to go first, so I'll let you pick.
You go first.
Oh, me go first.
Okay.
So, Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, is the king of Atlantis. Half human, half Atlantean, all badass. Now, I've said on the show before, and Catherine just alluded to the fact that, like, Aquaman, is kind of still a joke in most people's minds. He's the whole, he's a weak character, or, his power is being able to talk to fish, or there's that one I don't know if it's like from a comic or it might be from this old Super Friends cartoon, but there's a picture of him where his hands like get caught in a like soda can 6-pack thing, and he's like, you know, trapped by it or whatever. But Aquaman is like a really powerful character when you get to the source material, and Injustice does a great job of showing that off. So first of all, his weapon, which is, you know, what a lot of this battle is going to come down to, is the mighty Trident of Atlantis. In addition to, you know, having the power to stab things fatally, it has the power to summon lightning, and is just a good overall long-range attack. As I said before, he has the power to talk to marine life, which he uses all the time in battle to great effectiveness. You know, he can call fish to, you know, act as like a wall against his enemies. He can call sharks to, you know, come do damage. He can call upon faster sea creatures like a manta ray or a dolphin or something like that as a, you know, speedy travel method. Although he is a very fast swimmer by himself. I could be wrong, but I want to say that he can swim at the speed of sound. Which, what would a sonic boom be like underwater?
Even louder than on air.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, really bad.
So let's see what I say. The talking to the fish, the trident. He has limited amount of magic. His wife and his protege are more proficient at magic than he is, but he has, you know, some ability to conjure magic. And he has super strength, so both above the water and below the water. You know, he's super duper strong. Super speed, like I already said. He has a healing factor when he is in the water. And there's one other thing that I was going to say. Now I forget. But yeah, that's basically it. Aquaman is just all about combat. We don't see King Triton doing too much of that. So I think Aquaman's going to be a pretty formidable opponent in this fight.
Agreed. So, King Triton's battle capacities are obviously underexplored in The Little Mermaid. But he is the king of Atlantica. So, presumably, they could be, in fact, rival merpeople tribes. He's a little bit older, so Aquaman has a little bit on him, I would say, there. But he could have even more magical capabilities in his trident, excuse me. So, you know, in The Little Mermaid 2, when Morgana steals the trident, she is seen, you know, blasting people, she makes like an ice kingdom. Ursula uses it to become like a bajillion miles tall. So, I don't know. Assuming that the tridents don't have the same powers. Also, King Triton makes the rainbow at the end of the first Little Mermaid, so it has similar light powers. I think Ursula also uses it to summon a storm. Yeah, because she's cooking up dope in the crock pot in the ocean. So I think it might actually be more even of a battle than I originally thought. We don't know that Triton has super strength. I would guess not. I think the magic mostly comes from the trident, rather than being familial or inherent. Obviously, Triton has the weak spot in his 7 daughters, but I would hope that Aquaman wouldn't use the daughters as, you know, as targets, because they presumably haven't done anything. Ariel, but this could be a new development in the Little Mermaid canon, because Ariel is the youngest in the first movie, so she's 16, which means her oldest sister has to be at least 23, assuming that they were all born
to the same mother.
Chronologically, well, that's definitely canon. That's in Little Mermaid, Ariel's beginnings.
I've seen that movie one time.
I've seen it more than once, but not too many times. It is really funny, though. There's, like, a nihilistic manatee, and yeah. So, like, legitimately kind of funny. Also, you find out what happened to Ariel's mom, which is just nice to know for canon purposes. So I'm thinking that, if this were to become some kind of real battle between Atlantis and Atlantica, some of the daughters could probably be pretty useful in, defending the city. Plus, I don't know if we're bringing other people into this. Triton does have a guard that is depicted in The Little Mermaid 2. And he also has strong allies on land. Eric is in charge of an entire kingdom, so although by The Little Mermaid 2, he's still prince, as far as we know, not a king. You never meet his dad, so you're not 100% sure what's going on there. Actually, in the musical, they do clear that up a little bit. The reason that Ariel almost loses him is because Grimsby promised that his father, Eric's father, before Eric's father died, that he would marry him so that he could be crowned the king. That he couldn't be king until he was married. So, they hold a contest trying to find, the woman for Eric to marry. And Ariel has already given her voice to Ursula at this point, and Eric has already heard Ariel's voice. So Ursula enters the contest and sings, and Eric thinks that he's found the girl that he wants to marry. Where was I? Triton is also ripped. He's large. And as you see in The Little Mermaid, he gets really angry and destructive, so I can definitely see him putting up a real fight if his kingdom is in danger. And, like I said, the trident has probably, I think, a little bit more magic than Aquaman does at his disposal, so I think it'd be pretty fair, Yeah. Yeah.
Made a good case.
Oh, one last thing. Also, Triton uses dolphins as, basically horses, and can talk to flounder and other marine life. Morgana is a squid, for example. So, which is interesting because she's supposed to be Ursula's sister, but Morgana is clearly a squid, whereas Ursula is clearly an octopus. So, interesting stuff. But in terms of powers, yeah, they are very similar. So I think it would be a very evenly matched fight.
So you heard what we had to say, but we want to hear what you have to say. So please send us an email, and that email address is abcpodcast92@gmail.com. And that would also be the place to send us emails about John Wick Chapter 2, which Brandon and I will be talking all about next week. So watch it. Let us know what you think. Because we're going to have a grand old time talking about it. So the more, the merrier, as far as opinions goes on that one. Yeah, so a little bit of inside baseball here really quickly. So Brandon and I are going to be recording episode 63 on Friday night while Robin and Catherine and some other people are turning up for her bachelorette party.
Totally.
Then the following night, Catherine and I and Brandon and a few other people are going to be turning up for my bachelor party. Then Sunday night, Brandon and I and hopefully Catherine and hopefully Robin and hopefully a few other people are going to be recording episode 64. That's going to be going up the following weekend, the weekend of my wedding. So if you're familiar with the show, you know what we do for special episodes. We do a long discussion topic, and then we play a trivia game. So stick around for that. That'll be super fun. And yeah, so that's the plan there. Hopefully it all works out. I think it will, but yeah. So really quickly, you can follow me on Twitter at AtariAlex. You can find Brandon on Twitter by going to my bio and looking in there, because his username is in there, because it's really hard to pronounce. You can also find Catherine on Twitter. Assume you want to be found.
Yes, always. It's at Cater's Gonna Kate, but I spell Kate with a C, so it's like CATERS. Gonna Kate.
Yep.
With a C.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Snapchat and Instagram and Yelp.
No, my Instagram is actually CubTube, because one time my friend told me about this, like, it's kind of like Pig Latin, where you replace all the vowels with oob instead of the vowel. So, like, Alex's name would be Oobalubix. My friend Adriana, who told me about this, hers is Oobderboobnoob. So my Instagram name is CubTube, but I almost never use it, so just tell your friends about the vowel thing instead, because that's a lot better than my Instagram itself. But Tumblr, Snapchat, and Twitter, all at Cater's Gonna Kate.
All right, that's some good branding there. While you're checking out my Twitter, to go look for Brandon, because he's probably more exciting to follow than I am. You can also find links to our YouTube and iTunes pages and subscribe to both so that you never miss an episode. We'd also really appreciate it if you could leave us a comment or a review so that we can know how to do better. Tell me that I should kick Brandon off the show and place him with Catherine. I will soon be living closer geographically to Catherine than Brandon, so that might work. But yeah, just tell us how we can improve, because we love to get better at the thing that we love to do. So anyway, that is it for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we will catch you all next week.
Adios, everybody.